we appreciate it on behalf of the entire district. I'm glad that you've taken some time to come out and learn about the important work that's ongoing. We have a couple of people I want to introduce before we get started. With us, standing up here in the pink, can't be missed, our Director of Instructional Services, Tanya Kedlowski. Over here in the back, we have our Superintendent, Kathy Klotz. Standing in the back, who's just back from 3 days out sick, don't go near him, is the Associate Principal here at the high school, Kill Arnson. We have Dana Braille over here. She's a Spanish teacher here at the high school. She's also our balanced assessment coach in the district. Mike Comiskey is sitting in the back. He's one of our math teachers here at the high school, and he's going to the middle school next year, so there will be some kids very excited to have him. Amanda Thompson, principal at Cushing Elementary in the back, and then Judy Blackburn, associate principal here at the high school, and I'm David Hay, the principal here at Kettle High School. For those of you who I have not met before, I've spent 6 years here at the high school. I taught here as associate principal here, and then it's been my honor to be the principal for the last 2 years. So I've seen the kids from all the different angles, and it's just been a true pleasure. We thank you for making the time out on this day when somebody said it would be wonderful to sit on your back deck. The weather's nice. There's all sorts of games going on. I just heard that our girls softball team won again. So congratulations to them. Yes. So lots going on. There are lots of places you could be. Lacrosse just started, and soccer's still going right now. So thank you for being here. This is the overview of what we want to talk about today. And for those of you who were here yesterday, or any students that were here 2 days ago, there's more to it. We've grown the presentation based on the feedback and the questions that were presented at the last two, so that hopefully we can try to answer as many as we can on the front end. We're still going to have plenty of time for your questions and comments at the end, so I want to assure you of that as well. What we're going to do is review the protocol for today. We'll get through some introductions, which I just did actually. We'll talk about the history of assessment, the new purposes of education, the existing gaps that we know are there in education that have been there for some time. We want to recognize those. We want to talk about how we can move from Band-Aids on those gaps to true healing. And then we want to talk about new expectations, how we're rolling out and moving forward. And then I'm going to hit those frequently asked questions. And those are what have been pouring in over the last couple of days at the forum yesterday with parents, the forum the day before with students, and through email and phone calls as well. So we want to address as many of those right up front as we can. And then, as I said, we'll open it up for public comments and questions. The protocol. I want you to know that we are all here today to first inform, but then second, to listen. That's why Pat's here, Tanya, the rest of the folks that I introduced. We're here to inform first and then second to listen. It's very important for us to get your feedback and your input. During the presentation, we'd like you to utilize the blue cards that you got at the front, or there's a couple extras on your table, to write down any questions or concerns that you have. So if something comes up and you're like, I have a question, go ahead and write it down so you don't lose it. Following my presentation, we'll ask that you approach the microphone over here so that everyone can hear you and so that we can get you recorded. We're trying to record this so that we can get it out on the web for the folks who aren't able to be here tonight. So we'll ask you to do that. We would like you to limit your remarks. Try to get it to 30 seconds. I know that's hard, being the long-winded person that I am. But if you can limit your remarks so that we have enough time to give everybody some time, okay? With that, let's get into it. The history of assessment. What's important for us before we talk about the details of what we're looking at today is to think about the framework behind it. We have to put it in context, and this is the same thing we do in our classrooms with students. We can't give them something without the context. Oh, we're getting a score update, but I got to turn it off. We've got to have the context that surrounds it. So the system that we're currently operating under was designed in the late 1800s. There was a group put together by the president of Harvard, and it was called the Harvard Study Group. That group was charged with figuring out what public education should look like on a nationwide perspective. They designed a system that involves credits, that involves what we call Carnegie units. They had designed a system that had the 100-point grading scale and that utilized a bell curve to sort students. The purpose of that system was, in fact, to do that, to sort students, because it was very critical that they have an ability to rank students to determine which students should go on to school after the 8th grade, which students should go on to school after high school, and have that opportunity to go into the colleges or the universities. So it was a very elite few that were able to do that. The majority of students at that time went back to work on the family farm. It was the agrarian society. We moved quickly from that into the production economy, and again, the production economy didn't require necessarily past 8th grade, a little bit more than the agrarian society did, but it certainly didn't require many students to be able to go on to college or university. So the purpose of education when our system was designed was vastly different than the purpose of education today, and I think it's important that we have that context before we have these important conversations. That 100-point scale, as I said, was used to create that bell curve so that you would easily be able to delineate which students were at which level of performance, which ones were eligible to go on to school at high school, and then again to colleges and universities. The new purpose of education as we shift. We're 110 years later, and education hasn't changed a whole lot. It may sound bad for me to be the one saying that because I run an educational institution, but I'm willing to put it all out there. We haven't changed a whole lot. The new purpose is to ensure that all students succeed. Now, I want to be clear. When I say that, it doesn't mean that all students earn an A. We're not in this to make sure that we're going to somehow inflate grades and say that everybody needs to feel good. That's not what we're about. But we do need to make sure that all students have the ability to go on past the 8th grade, and we have to ensure that all students have the ability to get a high school diploma. Now, where they go from there, there's all sorts of different roads, but we have a requirement now. We're mandated that all students attend, and it's on our shoulders to try and make sure that all students get through. Through those processes, we're to ensure that no students get sent back to the farm. And please don't take any offense to farm life. I grew up for 2 years on a farm. My uncle is still a farmer to this day. I am using that analogy because that's truly what the system was designed for 100 years ago. An important factoid for you, 85% of our graduates at Kettle Moraine High School go directly on to an institution of higher education. That's about double the state average. So we have an obligation to make sure that our students, every one of them, is not only able to go to college, but prepared to succeed in college. And those are two distinctly different things. The percentage of students who begin as freshmen in college and actually get through is about 50%. So we're trying to beat those odds, and we're looking at some metrics that will help us understand where we're at. But we believe it's our obligation not just to get them in, but to make sure they're going to be successful when they're there. All right? So we want students to leave us with every door wide open, with the opportunities that they want to do. We want them to be prepared to compete, not just locally, not just nationally, but globally. We understand the forces that are working in the global economy. We understand that the students' competition isn't in the classroom that they're in. It's in China and India, and go down the list of the other world powers at this moment in time. The second to the last bullet point there, I guess, is key. And this one sounds intuitive. You would say, hasn't education always been about this? It says mastery of learning is the focus for all students. And what I want you to understand is that that has not been the traditional focus of education. The traditional focus of education, if it was trying to ensure mastery of content for all students, would not have been able to produce a bell curve that sorts students. The traditional system was designed to ensure that not all students mastered the content. It was designed to ensure that we had a nice distribution. We would